Please join us as Andy explains his journey to become an entrepreneur and how he's had to change and grow in order for his business to grow, and how business coaching has been a great help to that. Top three things that made you successful in business, and how can others follow in your footsteps?
Plan for growth. With the business, you're either growing or you're shrinking. So think about the things that you need to do to plan for growth, right? So for me, it was setting a plan for what the size of the business is by a specific time. And this was probably 5 years ago. I planned to have 25 people as full-time employees by 2030. So, and this is something that's hanging on the wall, but it's 25 people working out of our own facilities, building and shipping our own products in addition to our engineering services that we provide, and then slowly setting into action plans to actually make those things happen. So we're now operating out of our own facilities, out of two buildings that I own. When I bought these buildings, I thought that we would have way more space than we need, but we're actually growing into them and almost needing more space. Yeah. So I think that first one is plan for growth. Set some goals that that these are the things that you want to achieve. Like, what does the future look like, and what does good look like to you? What does success look like to you? And set some tangible goals. Then you can make the plans to actually put those things in place. You need to think about, what does your future organization look like to achieve those goals, right? What's not just your org chart for today, but what does your org chart look like tomorrow? One thing that I found as a growing organization is the systems that you have right now, you're constantly stressing them, and you're putting band-aids on stuff until you finally go and fix it, right? So our purchasing process, the way that we manage projects, those things as we grow are constantly being stressed. So if you can get ahead of that and say, this is what we're going to look like, then you can say, here's what our biggest pain points are going to be, or at least try to project those, and then put plans in place to go solve those. For example, right now, we're right at the point where we really need a full-time operations person, because it's taking up too much of my time as the president. It's taking too much of our engineers' time, and it's taking too much of our marketing time to go do more of those operational things. So it's time for us to really go and make that next step up as an organization. From the next thing, I think really in growth is that you really want to make sure that you have a good marketing plan, because trying to get your message in front of your ideal clients is really it can really be a struggle. But once you figure out how to do that, and you can really make a process of it, it can be a lot more successful. And I think this is something that we as a company have only done in the last few years, is understand how to get in front of the right clients. So it's identify those clients, and that's the right client that needs our engineering services. It's the right time for them to hire those engineering services, and then they have the funding to hire outside consultants, because we cost money. So trying to find those ideal customers, and for us, it's the companies that are trying to establish new technologies, and they have a specific goal that they need to achieve in a certain time period. So they need to go magnify their team and leverage their existing resources by hiring outside engineering services. So really, once we understood who those customers were and made a marketing plan around those, then we can go and find those people.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners forget. They think they make a good product and or service, and people will be knocking down their door for and that's not how it happens in reality. So a marketing plan is certainly a very important part of a business owner's success.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And kind of what you described is the farming approach to marketing, right? So one of my business mentors, really described his marketing for his company, and he's a CEO of a much larger company than me, as he's got farmers and he's got hunters for marketing, and the farmers have much bigger accounts, but those are not things that you have to go out and constantly go and build, right? Those are things that are just going to slowly trickle in. Whereas the hunters, that's how you grow. That's how you go get those next big, big accounts.
Back to the beginning, what made you get into business and why this particular business?
Yep. So I didn't want to start a business. Growing up, my dad had a mechanical contracting company, so heating and air conditioning installations. And that was really like, I've got one brother, but that seemed like almost another sibling, because just the amount of time that it took, and it kind of took away from family. So I didn't want to go be in that kind of situation where I had to go put that much time, because it would be a sacrifice. I saw it as a sacrifice. And that was really something that was very important to me. But the company that I was working for Parker Aerospace. Parker is a huge company, international company, 60,000 employees, $13 billion in revenue. And they shut down the facility that I was working at. So they announced it in June of, or maybe July of 2015. Within a few weeks, I had my company that I filed paperwork for, and then I started working on projects for one friend of mine, and then I found another client that through like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, I think, that for an energy simulation. So before I even left Parker, I had 2 clients that I was working on. So they basically wanted us to stay on and transition our projects back to the mothership, which I did. I stayed there until Halloween of last year, or of that final year there. And then in my exit interview on Halloween, I left Parker after my exit interview, and I collected on my first invoice. So it was a good start. And then I had another project that I was working on. So, my start was probably kind of non-traditional, because I was working on other projects for my company, while I was still employed at another company. And then it was full-time for me in Johnston Engineering. So I really tried to make sure that my work did not interfere with family. And so, what I do is I get up really early. So my kids are still asleep, and, I still right now have to work, unfortunately, in the 14 hours a day right now, because of our growth. And the way that I do that is I just get up really early. So by the time, most people would be getting home from work, I'm home a little bit after that. Right. So it's definitely a probably different path than most people that said, "Oh, I want to start a business." Right. I was like, all right, well, I don't want to start a business, but I found myself
more the reluctant entrepreneur.
Yes. Right. But, it's a misconception where you have to trade off other parts of your life. And I thought you had to trade off family, and you do have to trade off parts of your life to run a business, just because of the amount of work that it takes. But you can trade off in other areas, get up really early, or go to work.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. Huge thanks to our amazing guest for pouring their heart into sharing their journey. Let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.